What's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 4 of Loose Ends Fantasy Podcast, a fantasy football podcast for average fantasy football players. And who's it by, Shmi?
Us.
Average fantasy players ourselves. I'm thrilled to introduce my co-host, the man who bleeds black and gold, the one who knows the Steelers playbook better than his own biography, my boy JJ, our very own conspiracy quarterback. A man convinced that every incomplete pass is a sign from the football gods and every referee's whistle is part of a larger plot. With JJ on the mic, it's not a fantasy football dynasty podcast, it's an adventure. We're going into the mysterious depths of pigskin lore. Will we uncover the truth behind the Immaculate Reception? Can JJ predict the next Puka Nakua using only a terrible towel and a crystal ball? Who's here to tell us himself? Welcome, my guy.
Oh, what up? Thank you. Happy to be
More
here.
importantly, today we have a special guest with us, so gather around the cheese board as we welcome the Sultan of Suds, the Packer Prophet, the Wisconsinite wonder himself, and one of our best fucking friends. A man who dreams in green and gold. He's the guy who thinks a perfect draft pick pairs best with a cold one and believes that every cheese curd holds the secret to the next breakout player. If you have a brew, raise your glasses high. And let's toast, because when he's here with us, it's always happy hour. My boy, Shmi.
Shmi. Cheers.
Hello, hello.
It's time for kickoff, baby. Joey, hit that motherfucking intro. Woo! Let's get things fucking started. What do we say, boys?
I'm ready.
We're going to talk about a couple of things today. We're going to take a closer look at some of these players we're interested in. We're discussing one of our favorite games, Get, Bet, and Forget. We're going to talk about some players that you should probably go get right now if you haven't already been interested in them. We're going to talk about some guys that if you have them on your roster, you might want to hold on to them because we think that there's potential that they could break out. And we're talking about some guys, if you have them on your roster, you might be looking to trade them away as soon as possible because forgetting about them is probably best. But before we do any of that, I want to get things kicked off with a beer with the boys. All right, we got the boys online today. Everybody's back together. Let's go ahead and talk about the beers. JJ, let's start it over with you. What beer do we bring today? And hit me with a player comparison.
Cheers, everybody.
Hell
Today, I bring to you one of my most favorite beers. I don't know if you can really see that. It's Cali Creamin' by Mother Earth Brew Company here in Vista, California. Well, it's not here. It's a little bit north of me, but it is a delicious vanilla cream ale. Perfect for summertime, baby. It's sweet. It's smooth. And it's a little bit salty. That's why I had to go with my man, George Pickens. Dude, I'm so obsessed with him right now. I can't stop talking about him. I really can't. I love him just as much as I love this beer.
We love
And
that.
that's who I'm going with today.
George Pickens action. Shmi, go ahead and hit us with your beer for the boys. What beer are we drinking? What do you got for a player comparison for me?
We're rocking Miller Lite, and I'm going with the newly added Josh Jacobs. Kind of just like Miller, you can have it pretty much anywhere. It does what you need all over the place. Have it while grilling, just have it for dinner, have it for fun. Josh Jacobs is going to be all over that field.
You're going to have Josh Jacobs for fun. I get you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going with a Modelo today, but we're going spiked pina pineapple.
Ooh.
My player comparison was Rashad White because this pina pineapple is new. So it burst onto the scene in an unexpected fashion. It is light. It does the job quickly. It comes in a tall boy, so it takes care of business when I need it to. It'll get me right. So I went with Rashad White. Hopefully it can continue to do what we all saw it do last year and continue forward. Beer with the boys. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Hell yeah, brothers. I'll probably get copyright for that, but whatever.
From Hulk Hogan.
Hell yeah. All right, let's jump right into a couple of things. Let's get into our get, bet, and forget. Today we have 4 players from each of us. So you guys are going to see a total of 12 players come through. You're going to hear some analysis on guys you should go get, some guys you should leave on that roster, and send up a prayer to the football gods. And you're also going to hear some clown behavior from some people that we do not believe in. So let's start it over here with JJ. JJ, let's hit us with that first player you have for our get, bet, and forget.
Ooh, okay. So my first player that I decided to go with is Miles Sanders.
Oof, Miles Sanders. Okay, I love that energy. Shmee. Get, bet, forget. Miles Sanders.
I don't. I want to say forget. I don't like the backfield that Carolina's had ever since CMC's left. They haven't really done too much. I know he's been good where he was, but I don't like Carolina.
I am in the same boat. I also think that he is a forget. They have Chuba Hubbard there still. They just acquired Jonathan Brooks, who was the consensus RB1 off the board. Now, we did talk about Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL, so I think Miles Sanders could see some work early on. I just don't think last season he proved to be a guy that's going to be a workhorse. I think at best he's a bye-week flex player, and that's if you're in a rebuild status and your team is struggling. But I am in a full forget for Miles Sanders. JJ, what are your thoughts?
So I feel like everyone's going to look at this and be like, yeah, that's an easy forget. I do not feel that way. Actually, last year, I was very much in on Miles Sanders. However, that coaching situation, and honestly, that whole top office, they suck. I hate that office. They're awful. Oh my God. I have so many stories about that. But anyway, let's get back to Miles Sanders, Andy. With Miles, yeah, he didn't have a great season last season. Finished 52 in running backs, had 87 points, and he did play all 16. Well, he played 16 games, not 17. Um, the reason why I say bet is because, yeah, I'm not going to put all my chips on Jonathan Brooks coming off an ACL injury. We talked about that several times. I'm not all in on Chuba Hubbard. I had Chuba Hubbard at one point. I sold him immediately. However, this backfield just got a huge upgrade in Dave Canales. I love Dave Canales. That man is about running the fucking ball, and I love that shit. So I think we're going to see a new Miles Sanders. He's 27 years old, guy. He's been in for 5 years. He's finished 14 and 15 in running backs before in full PPR. That was also 2019 and 2022. I mean, yeah, I understand. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm saying hold on to him right now. I'm not saying go out and buy him. Just bet on
You
him.
think he's a
for
bet
now.
on him? I like that. All right, Shmee. We're gonna jump right into player 2 over here of today, and you're player number 1. Who is your first get, bet, or forget?
All right, so I also went running back. I went out of Seattle with Zach Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet. We talked a little bit about Zach Charbonnet on our last episode. I personally think Zach Charbonnet is a bet. He is. If you have him on your roster, hold. We are having Kenneth Walker's coming off of some injuries. He wasn't super productive last year. They don't have a great backfield over there. They just added, some weapons. They're not sure about the quarterback situation. I think Zach Charbonnet could be a weapon going forward. He's obviously a talented running back. He was the consensus RB2, I believe, last year, was pretty much RB2 coming off the board before the landing spot. I think he's talented. We'll see what he can do, but I think he's a hold for now, especially if you're in a deeper roster league. I wouldn't go getting rid of him quite yet. JJ, what do you think?
It's so funny because I think we're all different on this. I am a get. I'm trying to get my hands on Zach Charbonnet as much as I can everywhere. The reason why is because I think Blake touched on it a little bit, but we got a new regime, right? Pete Carroll's gone. It's not going to be two running backs, or is it? We're not really sure. I bought in on Kenneth Walker. I'm trying to buy in on Zach Charbonnet as well. I want that handcuff. I want that backfield. I love them both.
Love that. Shmi, where did you dropped a player on us? Where are you at on your get better forget?
I went the opposite direction of both of you. I said, forget it. Forget about him. I like Ken Walker over him. If they do go committee, I don't know if it'll be 60-40, 70-30. I also don't like that offense. I don't think Seattle's going to be winning a lot of games. So they might be going pass heavy with DK and with the other two, Lockett. And who's your boy over there? JSN? Yeah. I think they're going to be using them, maybe even the tight ends more than they're going to be trying to pound the rock. So he might get playtime, but I don't think it's going to be fantasy playtime.
Interesting. Better football player than a fantasy player. We love that. For my first player today and our third player that we're going to talk about today, I think I am going to bring an IDP to the table. So
Love it.
we are an individual defensive player league, meaning we have a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and a DB position, as well as two flexes, one of any one of those positions as well. So we have 5 IDPs in our league. The first IDP that I'm going to bring to our Get Better Forget is Ivan Pace Jr. Go ahead, JJ. What do you think about Ivan Pace?
Oh, I love Ivan Pace. I'm a get. I'm trying to get my hands on him. I want him. I think he's fantastic. Is with the Vikings. I know they just had a bunch of big pickups in Blake Cashman and Greener. I think it's going to be interesting there. But when everything plays out, I think I still, at the end of the day, would want him on my team.
Shmi, what do you think?
I go bet with him. 23. He's got a lot of time to develop in this league, and they lost Kendricks, so that linebacking core is going to have somebody that needs to step up. So could be him.
I went with a get. If you do not have Ivan Pace on your team, get. You can watch the film. Ivan Pace, when he came out of Louisville, is a monster. Watch him from last year, is a monster. He struggles a little bit in the pass game, which is why he didn't see the field as often his rookie year. But when he's on the field, he is a downhill monster. We're talking a guy that was playing 60% of the snaps and still getting 10, 12, 13 tackles. If you're in an IDP league, tackles matter more than anything. I think he's for sure a go get. But I'm also biased because I have him on my team and I picked him up as a rookie. So,
That's fair.
JJ, let's pop over to you real quick. Let's pick up player number 2 and number 4 for the day.
Alrighty. So my second player of the day is Gabe Davis from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Shmi, what do you think about Gabe Davis?
I don't. I don't. The last couple of years, that offense, they've had, 3 guys over 800 yards, so they spread it well. They lost one of the receivers, but they brought in a younger guy. They got Brian Thomas filling in the second spot. They still got their tight end that was Eaton. And, unless he does some crazy shit in the offseason, he's going to be wide receiver 3, so I guess the 4th head of a Hydra, which doesn't exist.
I kind of agree. I'm going to say bet. I don't want to necessarily say forget. Gabe Davis did some wonderful things in Buffalo, but I agree with Shmi. I mean, they just picked up Brian Thomas. They went and acquired him. We've seen what he did in college. He's fantastic. They have Christian Kirk over there, who is a target monster, and Trevor Lawrence. They already have that connection going forward. You have Travis Etienne out of the backfield. You still have Evan Ingram, who had a monster season last year. I mean, they have a lot of weapons over there. On top of that, you have to buy into Trevor Lawrence being able to be a successful quarterback and be able to spread the wealth in that type of offense. I don't want to say forget about him because he could end up being, a WR25, which is viable in a dynasty deep league. I just don't think he's somebody that I'm like, hey, you need to go get him right now. But if you have him on your roster, I wouldn't, trade him away for nothing, and I definitely wouldn't drop him. I would just bet on him, keep him where he's at, and pray that he ends up being WR2 for that team. Jesse, what'd you think?
All right, so here's where I'm at with Gabe. The reason why I say get is because I feel like even though he's on a new team in a crowded receiving room with a talented tight end and a talented receiving running back, I literally was listening to you guys and I was like, because I had forget on here, and I was like, man, I convinced myself, and you did too, convinced me to say go get Gabe Davis. And I think the reason why I say that is because we don't know how Brian Thomas is going to turn out. Evan Ingram's getting old. I have Brenton Strange, so I'm kind of interested to see like when Evan Ingram's going to call it quits or just isn't good anymore. Anyways, Gabe Davis, I think, has a place on this team, man. They just lost Calvin Ridley, like Shmi said. I think that there's targets to be had there, and Gabe is a deep threat. So I want to see them spread the ball out. This team is historically known for going down the middle of the field with their running back, their tight end, and Christian Kirk, their slot receiver. So I want to see a little bit of spreading it down the fucking field with that Jaguars. That's what I want to see.
Love that. I definitely can agree that they do like to utilize the middle of the field. So it'd be interesting to see how they play that out. Shmi, let's go ahead and head over to you for your second
All
player that
right.
you're bringing to the table.
All right. I went very running back heavy with this. I have Zamir White out of Vegas.
Woohoo, that's a good one.
I love the fact that you brought Zamir White up.
I don't.
Absolutely love the fact that you
I
brought
don't.
Zamir White up because you and I both made a poor decision here.
Yeah.
And you traded him to me, and I traded him to Montavious, who is a Las Vegas fan. Now, here's the thing. We talked about it a little bit last episode. Buy early, buy often, trade early, trade often. You traded him away when we weren't really sure what was going to happen over there. Josh Jacobs left. I had him. I thought they were going to draft a running back, traded him away, and now he is the guy in Vegas, and it looks like they're going to give him the opportunity to eat over there. I think Zamir White is a get. If you have him, he is a bet, and I mean an elevated bet. Hold on to him, see what happens. We're not saying that he's going to be a complete monster this year, but given the statistics that he has, the analytics behind him, the opportunities that we've seen him get, the last 4 games of last season, he was a beast. I think if you don't have him, try and go get him at a reasonable cost. Don't overpay, but definitely a get. Jesse, what do you think?
For me, I think it's a forget. I'm not really a big fan of Zamir White. I think that even though I think he could do well there, he might share the backfield. The reason why I say forget is because I think that you can get a really good price for him right now on the trade market. So what I would try to do is flip him for someone else. I'm trying to level up with Zamir White. I'm trying to sell everyone on exactly what you guys both are, what you said about Zamir White, and go get something that I need to rebuild with if I'm a rebuilder.
Jesse, I'm going to turn this on us real quick. I know we did an episode right before this, taking it to the table, but I want to bring it to the table right now.
Oh, shit, we're going back to the table.
Right to the table right now. Zamir White, who would you're trying to level up. Give me a level up from Zamir White that you would try and trade Zamir White for right now. Go ahead.
Rashad White.
Rashad White, baby.
White for White. I don't know. I think that you could do that. I think you could do that deal. I'm not sure if Rashad White's going to be able to produce the same numbers he did last year as the running back 4. I know Zamir kind of turned it on at the end of the season last year, but I am not quite sure about that offense, guys. I'm really not. I don't know about that offensive line. I'm not really sure of it. I mean, they got good tight ends now. Hopefully, that will help the run game. But I don't
Okay,
know if
so
this guy can
we're
carry the
thinking
ball.
Rashad White. So are we saying Zamir White and a second, a third? What are we? Because given consensus, I think it would be like Zamir White and a second, maybe for Rashad White. That's kind of where I would go. Maybe a late second next year. Where are you at on that?
Okay, so trying to be fair here, we got. I mean, he finishes the running back 56. He's going into his third season. He's 24 years old. This is Amir White. Rashad White is 24. 25, I'm sorry. He's
Yeah.
25 now. He's been in for 2 years, and he's finished as running back 36 and running back 4. Last year scored 267 points. Yeah, so I think you're going to have to pay a little bit more to get Rashad White. I think you'll have to do a second. I would take a second. I mean, I'm trying to get Rashad White, so I would send a second Zamir White for Rashad White.
We have a special guest with us, Shmi. Would you, given you having Rashad White, which hypothetically you have Rashad White, would you take Zamir in a second for Rashad White?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. I know he finished. Super well. Was he like in ours top 5 running back?
He was RB4.
RB4. Zamir turned it on, like Jesse said, late in the season. He only had 5 games he started. I think 4 of them actually started, and then averaged 15 points. So if he stayed healthy, 15 points a game, you're looking around 240 maybe.
Do we think Alexander Madison has any play in taking touches away from Zamir White?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at Zamir White, who, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, was averaging probably 20 touches a game over those last 4 games.
He had 17, 22, 20, and 25.
About 20 touches a game looking at those 4 games. So if Alexander Madison is taking even 4 or 5 touches away from him, now we're looking at averaging 15 to 17. He's still probably averaging in that 12 to 15 range more than likely. So I think that's solid.
I would just like to point out his yards per carry. It's like 4.06. I mean, 6.59. That's fantastic. This is the last 4 weeks of last season. 3.55 and 4.48 yards per carry.
Love that. I think we can all come to a consensus right now. Zamir in a second for Rashad White. Trade complete.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Love that. All right.
I like both sides.
Let's move it on. I'm going to jump into my second player that I brought in for the day. I'm bringing in Brock Bowers.
Ooh. Mommy.
I would love to hear both of your opinions on Brock Bowers. Go ahead, Shmi.
I will be cautious and go bet. Everybody was high on his buddy Mayer last year. That was wheels fell off that bus real quick. Brock's a different tight end. He's much better at receiving. Devontae's getting older, so he might be filling in those receiving roles. And then the other person they have is Jacoby, so he might be an actual receiving threat. But I'm not willing to say go get him and risk it for that. I would say sit on him for a year, see what happens through the first 8 weeks.
Jesse, what do you think?
I'm gonna say get. And the reason why I say that is because I'm kind of curious. I want to go to the Brock Bowers owner in my league and knock on the door and just see kind of what the price is. Because the reason why I'm saying that is because they have Michael Mayer there, right? Also a first round tight end. That's a lot of firepower at the tight end position. I think that they're gonna battle for receptions and targets, but I would like to see what the price is. I'm not sure what that price looks like, but if it's a decent price, because we're talking about what he probably went at the 105 to 107 in most leagues.
Most leagues.
Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna have to pay probably a 2025 first plus. What would that look like?
The good news for you is Our executive producer, Joey, actually owns Brock Bowers, and I think you know this. So,
I do.
Joey, for our episode, I want you to go ahead and throw it on the screen for us as a visual to those that are watching on YouTube. For those that are listening in to the podcast, check out the YouTube channel. If not, next episode we'll go ahead and throw the answer to that out at the beginning of our episode. With that, I personally think I'm forgetting Brock Bowers.
Okay.
People are so high on these first round tight ends that come out, and they've said consensus he's one of the top tight ends that have come out of college in a very long time. They were saying the same thing about Michael Mayer. They said the same thing numerous draft classes. I just don't see it. Him going over to Las Vegas, who's the quarterback? We're worried about, is he going to touch the ball? Are they going to even be able to throw him the ball? We saw the same thing happen with Kyle Pitts. He's the greatest thing ever to come out as a tight end. He's basically a giant wide receiver. He's going to be so great. If they can't throw him the ball, he's not going to be fantasy relevant. I'm going to go ahead and say forget until they figure out the quarterback situation. And when they do, I can change my answer to a go get. I think he's a talented dude. I just don't think they have the weapons around him to be able to get him the ball in the fashion that he needs. So I'm going to go ahead and say forget. If you have him, trade him right now while his draft capital is high, while you have that, because as soon as the season starts, you're going to watch that capital fall again. I would say forget.
All right.
Okay.
Shmi, who is your third player that you're bringing
My
to our
third
get,
player?
bet, and forget?
I give you a clue. It's a running back.
Shocker.
No, I went with our old boy, Aaron Jones, RIP. Not working for the enemy.
I think he's a get.
I also
I think he's a get. He's a get. We've seen Dalvin Cook be successful. We've seen numerous running backs over there be successful. We know that offense loves to utilize the running back. They love to have a pass catcher out of the backfield. You're going to have a brand new quarterback over there, and a running back and or tight end out of the backfield is a brand new rookie quarterback's best friend. I think Aaron Jones can do so many things in a versatility fashion that a lot of running backs can't do. He can line up in the slot. He can line up, in the backfield. He can do so many different things as a running back. I think he's a go get right now. That's just where I'm at on him. Jesse, what do you think?
I'm going to say bet. I love Aaron Jones. He's been a great fantasy asset for a long time. I think that he did land in a great spot, but we've also got Cam Akers and Ty Chandler in that running back room. We don't know exactly what that's going to be like quite yet. But I do think he's going to be of course, RB1 there. He's going to be catching the ball out of the backfield. He's going to spread that offense out a little bit more. I'm excited to see what that looks like in Minnesota. So that's where I'm at. Bet.
For my third and the eighth player we're bringing to the table, I'm going to bring in DeAndre Swift with Chicago. Jesse, what do you think?
I'm a forget. I don't want anything to do with DeAndre Swift. I don't want anything to do with that offense, to be perfectly honest with you. It's nothing against the players, truthfully. I love Keenan Allen. I think DJ Moore is an extremely good, talented player. I hate the coaching there, man. It's just always been shit, except for Lovey and a couple other guys. But
Shmi,
Me? Alrighty.
what do you think?
I'm gonna. I want to stick with Jesse on this one as well. Forget. I know he's the new RB1, but they're going to rotate to running backs, brand new offense, a lot of new players, and there's a lot of talent around at other positions. I don't think it's going to be a great year for him.
I am completely opposite of both of you guys. I went with a get, especially if you are in the back half of your league record wise last year. I think he's a get. Now, he is a little older, but I say get for two reasons. One, Chicago historically likes to run the ball. Now, they went and got these weapons for a reason. They knew they were going to go get Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to struggle. I pray he's going to struggle being a Green Bay fan because the Bears still suck. Shout out to my executive producer who is a Bears fan. But one more time, the best friend to a brand new rookie quarterback is a tight end and a running back. DeAndre Swift can catch the ball out of the backfield. We saw him do it in Detroit. That is his role. He is a pass catching back, a scat back. I think he's going to be utilized in that type of fashion to be a check down, short out route type player for Caleb Williams, and we saw him utilize that in college. So I think he's a go get. Now, if you're a contending team, he might not be a get for you. He'll be a late flex player, but if you're a back half of your league, he's definitely a go get. If not, he's a bet and see what happens. JJ, let's hit a player number 9 for the day, and your third pick. Who are you bringing to our get, bet, and forget?
I'm bringing tight end Cole Turner from the Washington Commanders.
Such an interesting prospect. For me, baby bias, I picked up Ben Sinnott in our draft, but I just don't know what's going to happen with Jaden Daniels. I'm going to go ahead and say Cole Turner is a forget. And this is hard for me to say because best friend to a rookie quarterback. I just don't know if Jaden Daniels utilized a tight end in college, and if they're going to build the system around him, he's going to look for the big play and he's going to run the ball. And we talked about it in our last episode. Running quarterbacks generally don't produce high producing fantasy players from the receiving aspect. So I think one of the biggest things for me to say forget is I don't know if he's going to produce fantasy. I think he's a great football player. I don't know if he's going to be a great fantasy player. Shmi, what do you think?
This hurts because I have Cole Turner and Zach Ertz, and then they went and drafted Ben Sinnott. So I want to say bet, hoping that because he's still young, he's 24. Tight ends don't get good until later in their career, but this offense also sucks. So it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a very rough bet. You're not gonna win a lot with it this year, maybe not next year. But if you have room to stash a tight end, do it. Otherwise, I would cut him.
Jesse, what do you think?
I have Cole Turner as a forget. He's someone that I was actually pretty high on last season. I had him for a while on my team, but I did drop him this offseason just because they added Zach Ertz. He's a 5th round pick, I believe, in the draft 2 years ago. So I just don't think they have a lot of faith in him. And then Ben Sinnott, I love Ben Sinnott. They took Ben Sinnott in the 3rd round.
They did.
Okay, so I feel a lot more confident in them going forward with Ben than Cole Turner.
I agree. Now, question I bring to the table for Cole Turner is, do you think he has any trade value, even as an additive piece to a trade? Or do you think he's at the point where people are just saying, you know what, I don't even add him to the trade, go ahead and drop him? Shmi, what do you think?
I think that's just a wasted roster spot. Like I don't think anybody's gonna pick him up off of a trade. Like if you have him, hold him, but I'm not gonna allow him to join my team.
I was gonna say you have him.
So consensus, we're on the bet because he's on your roster, but we're in a total forget mode.
Yeah, if he's already on your roster, hold him. But if he's not, I wouldn't allow a trade to go through because then I have to cut somebody else to put him on my team. Like no, if you have him, hold him. But he would be my first cut player.
Gotcha. Okay, let's get into our final round of players for everybody. Let's drop it down to Shmi. Who is your last player?
Supposed to have 4 players. I'm fucking with you.
Absolutely. Have. We have a script.
Nah, no, we don't. So I stuck with Green Bay. I know Aaron Jones is gone now, but he was Green Bay last year.
Homer take.
I went with Christian Watson.
Christian Watson. Okay. I am in a bet closer to the forget mark. I am not super bought in on Christian Watson. I love Jaden Reed. Romeo Dobbs is there. Now they have Josh Jacobs. They have Luke Musgrave. They have Tucker Kraft. I mean, they have Dontavian Wicks, who I think is a monster. I think it's a bet just because it's the Green Bay offense and we're going to see what's going to happen. If you have him on your roster, bet on him and see, kind of where it goes. If you're in forget mode because you have a deep wide receiver room, get the trade value while you can. In my opinion, I think you're going to see a decrease in his value going forward. So I would bet on what you have now. Um, if not, then we might regret that in the future. Jesse, what do you think?
I'm forget. Uh, I hope that he works with the University of Wisconsin to get his hamstring down from 20% larger in one leg than the other. I hope that he can figure out his hamstring issue, but I think that there is a market out there for him. So if I have a Green Bay Packers fan in my league, I'm going to say, hey, if I've got Christian Watson, I'm going to go see what I can get for him.
Interesting. Shmi, where were you at on your get, bet, or forget Christian Watson?
I went get. He hasn't been healthy for a full year. I think he's a great receiver. I don't want to say like Michael Pittman esque, but I mean they proved that offense showed that they can put up points. If he's healthy the whole year, chemistry is going to get built better, and I think he's going to remain WR1 all year.
My executive producer will love this. I want to cut to a clip real quick of the first pass thrown to Christian Watson of his career. While you have that on your screens right now, just look at this beautiful, disappointing drop that comes from this man right now. This is something that we've seen very often. Now, the injury history, the more you talk about wanting to go get him, the less I want to get him. And I'm also a Green Bay fan. Let's move into our 11th player of the day. Closing things up here in the last two. JJ, go ahead and hit me with that last player from your side. Get, bet, or forget.
Last player is a middle linebacker who actually just got traded from Tampa Bay to the Philadelphia Eagles in Devin White.
Shmi, what do you think?
I get him. I love Devin White. Dude's fast as fuck. Eagles always have great defensive players. I know they lost Fletcher Cox, but I mean that the front line and the linebackers are always good. They always just have defensive back problems.
I'm going to go with a bet. Devin White is very fast. Yes, we love that. Great linebacker, good recognition. Two reasons. We saw TJ Edwards leave Philadelphia and go be a very high producing backer for Chicago. So that's one reason. He just didn't see the downhill opportunities in Philadelphia. Secondly, the defensive front for Philadelphia is stacked. That Georgia defensive front is so good that I think they take tackle opportunities away in the run game for their linebackers. Not to say that Devin White is not a monster linebacker. I just don't think the opportunities are there for him in a excessive capacity as a linebacker for fantasy. I think he's a great football player, a great NFL player. I don't think it translates as well fantasy this year in Philadelphia. That's just my take. Jesse, what do you think?
I am a get. I'm trying to get my hands on Devin White as much as possible. The reason why is because, what you just said about that front line, the defensive line, they're going to be stopping the run. But that gives Devin White all the opportunity to crash those gaps and get those sacks. I want to see him with another 9-sack season and 324 fantasy points. That's what I want to see. So I'm trying to get. I'm hoping for that.
Love that. We're going to close things out with our last player, 12th player, my final pick for the day, Kirk Cousins. We are a super flex league. We're going to start it off with JJ. Get, bet, or forget?
I'm forget. I'm forgetting. I don't want Kirk Cousins, man. I'm trying to sell him to someone who does. I want Michael Penix Jr. I am the crazy conspiratorial one who thinks that Michael Penix is going to be the starting quarterback by the end of the season.
Clip it.
Clip it.
Michael Penix, starting quarterback by the end of the season. Kirk Cousins signing a 4-year deal. And you're saying right now that he won't even be starting by the end of his first year on that contract. Clip.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know who Russell Wilson
love
is?
Shmi, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with get on him. If we're running super flex, I know I historically say no to 2 quarterbacks, but I mean he showed he can play well with just one good receiver. I know he had a bailout tight end with Mr. Hawk, but he's gonna have Pitts to replace Hawkinson, and he's got Drake London, who's not JJ, but he's still fucking good. And then Bijan to carry the ball and take little checkdowns. But yeah, I would say he's a get for at least a year or two. I mean, he's getting older, but it's like Coles, man. He's going to be staying around.
I have him as a get as well. Originally, when I had posted him up, I had put a bet on there if you have him, but this is a super flex league. I think he's a get, like you said, for at least 1 or 2 years. If you have him, bet on him. If you don't have him, for good value, get him. Again, he's not someone that I want you to go overpay for, but I think he's somebody that we've seen consistent, regular success from the quarterback position. He was an underdog basically his whole career. Nobody expected him to be super successful. And he just has shown time and time again that he can be Mr. Consistent. So I think that he's somebody, if you can get the right value for him, go get him to sit in that second slot for you as a super flex player. All right. I mean, that's 12 players right there of just solid get, bet, and forget. I think we are getting to the point where we should get things wrapped up. What do you guys say?
Sounds good.
I
All
think
right, for my guys in the comments, viewers listening in, I want you guys to post who you think your breakout player of the year is. We're talking get, bet, and forget today, but I want you to post your go get right now breakout player of the year, who you think is going to be that guy going into this next season. Aside from that, Shmi, you have any words for the viewers at home?
Yeah, their picks were all wrong and mine were right. I don't think I can be any more clear about this. But yeah, go Pack, go, and fuck the Bears.
Jesse, you have any closing remarks for these folks?
My eyes! They burn.
For those guys at home who are listening in, I just put on the championship belt because I am the reigning undisputed Drunken Draft Dynasty League champion. So if you think anybody's opinions are going to be right on here, you're talking to Daddy right now. All right? But I want everyone to go hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate y'all for listening in. Until next time.
Bye.